This is about the idea of magnets themselves on an oil filter. I've just cut open this oil filter, and as you can see inside, it looks like this magnet has caught all kinds of stuff.
Today is one of those days in every DIYer's life that just gives you such pride of ownership over your vehicles. Today's the day I change my oil, and I absolutely love doing it.
The thing is, not every oil change is the same. Some newer vehicles make it extremely difficult to change the oil yourself. And everyone has a slightly different technique when changing your oil. Some people like to use certain types of oil and will not waver no matter what. Some people use a specific oil along with an oil additive. And some people, like me, not only like to use a specific type of oil, but they have a secret. Nonetheless, the first step for me to change my oil is to make sure my oil catch pan is properly placed. Also making sure that the engine is cooled down so I don't get scalded by very hot oil. That's important. And loosen and remove the oil drain pan bolt. I've now loosened the bolt with my ratchet, and I'm going to slowly unscrew it, keeping in mind that the initial arc of the oil is going to be pretty big. So make sure the drain pan is properly placed, and while keeping positive pressure on the oil drain pan bolt, we want to wait till we feel it skip over on itself, and which I just felt. Then I'm going to pull it out, and there we go. No spilt oil. In this case, I'm using a tip that I actually received from you guys. And that tip is making sure the engine and its oil is a little warm. Not hot by any means. Again, we don't want to burn ourselves, but with the engine oil a little warm, it will flow a little easier, thereby giving you a much more complete drain. Another tip, if you can, is to make sure you have the oil fill cap loose. This allows air to enter, taking place of the leaving oil. Hey Jimmy, what's the secret? I thought you'd ask. Well, along with my oil changes, not only do I use a very specific oil and I try not to waver, I also use something that kind of is quite controversial, and that is this. What you're looking at here is my oil filter, and on my oil filter is an oil filter magnet. I've done a few videos on oil filter magnets in the past, and no, this video is not sponsored in any way. Personally, I just firmly believe in the use of a magnet on your oil filter because, well, why not? Speaking of the oil filter, the next step is to remove it. But how do I remove this oil filter with this magnet attached? It's too thick in order to leave it on and be able to spin this filter off. So what I'm gonna do is simply slide this magnet off and remove the filter. I'll mark the filter so I know exactly where the magnet went, and I'll put it back on after I remove the filter. Then we're gonna cut this filter open and see what this magnet caught, if anything. Okay, here is the oil filter. I've tried to clean it off a little bit, and I also put the magnet back on. And you can see that I have some duct tape over the brand name of this magnet because this isn't about brands at all. I'm sure you can figure out by the shape and design of this which brand this is, but like I said, it's not about brands, and this is not a sponsored video. This is about the idea of magnets themselves on an oil filter, on the outside of an oil filter. Of course, we know every vehicle out there uses an oil filter. And this is to filter out dirt, impurities, metal shavings, things like that. But the problem is these filters can only filter particles down to a specific size. So what happens to those metal particles, for example, that are smaller than that? The particles that go right through that filter media? Well, they just continue to cycle through the engine, thereby causing wear to vital engine components over time. That's the theory anyway. So by putting on my common sense thinking cap, if those super tiny metal particles that can glide right through the filter media are ferrous or magnetic, why not try to capture them with an extremely strong magnet? If you want to see just how effective these magnets are, I've got a bunch of steel BBs in this steel oil filter can. I'm simply going to slap this filter onto the side, and already I can tell you this filter is so strong, I can't get this off without sliding it off. Now watch what happens to these BBs as I put them over the filter. You can see these BBs are incredibly stuck to this magnet here, and it is just unbelievably strong. I literally can't believe it. Well, after seeing that, I think you'll agree with me that the magnet on the outside of the filter does have an effect. So let's go ahead and finally cut this one open and see what's inside. Uh-oh. Okay, I've just cut open this oil filter, and as you can see inside, it looks like this magnet has caught all kinds of stuff. Of course, we know what this stuff is. It's ferrous or magnetic material. In other words, steel shavings, things like that. Now I get it. There's many arguments for and against this sort of thing. And I've read some of your comments in my previous videos regarding magnets on oil filters. Some say that it's pure snake oil. Some say they use these too. And I also know there's a discrepancy between the flow of oil claiming that this magnet is catching the metal particles that the filter media would normally catch, but because the magnet is there, it's not having a chance to catch them. My argument to that is, well, you can consider this magnet somewhat of a pre-filter for the filter, because that should be keeping the filter media inside more clean, right? In any regard, like I was saying, you can clearly see by looking at the inside of this used filter that magnets work, and it seems like they work really good. And the last thing I'd like to point out here is that manufacturers have been using magnets for a long time. Consider your diff cover. There's a magnet inside the diff cover. I realize there's no filter there, but of course they're using the magnet as a filter. Some transmission pans have magnets inside the transmission pan. There is a filter in there, but of course they have a magnet to catch anything else. And take a look at this. This is my oil drain plug. And on the very tip here is a magnet. This drain plug is original, so the factory knows that there's already an oil filter there, but they're trying to catch any other debris that makes it through the oil filter. I'm happy this is here, but I'm happy also that I have a much stronger magnet I can put on the outside of my oil filter. So, I don't know guys, to me it's clear, cut, and dry. Really strong magnets on the outside of your oil filter, they just work. I really don't know how you can argue against that. But this is YouTube, we are a community, and I'm absolutely open to hear your comments down below. After everything that we've just seen together, the inside of that oil filter, my oil drain plug having a magnet on it, would you say that putting a magnet on the oil filter is useless? I know that not all the material floating around there is magnetic. So that means the magnet is not going to catch that stuff that can still make it through the filter. So what do you do about that? You do the only thing you can do, which is buy the very best filter you can afford. Personally, I don't always buy these expensive filters. As you just saw in the filter I cut open, that was a factory AC Delco filter. But I do know, based on the YouTube videos that I have seen with these filters being cut open, that these Wix XP filters are very good. So if you're gonna try to capture as much material as possible, I would say your best bet is going to be the best filter you can buy. This thing was about $13, along with some kind of filter magnet. Now these are all just my opinions, of course. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research, your own due diligence, and come to your own conclusions. But man, for me, I'm gonna stick with an oil filter magnet for sure. I actually went to the auto parts store and picked up a brand new oil drain plug. This one also has a magnet in the tip. And here is that brand new Wix XP oil filter. And again, this isn't about brands. I'm just letting you know what I bought. I have pre-lubed the gasket here, and I made sure that the old gasket from the old filter is still on that filter and not stuck up here. So I'll go ahead and screw in this new oil filter. And about hand tight is good. I'll go ahead and use my ratchet to snug the oil drain plug. And the reason why I bought this oil drain plug is because this style does have the gasket attached, and the original one was just not doing its job anymore. You can see there was a little bit of oil sweating here coming directly from this drain plug. So now that we're buttoned up down here, I can go ahead and add the new oil back into the engine. I've already checked in the manual, and this engine takes 6 quarts of oil with the filter. Oil's in. Everything is buttoned up underneath. There are no leaks. I'm going to start the truck. The first thing I need to do, however, is to reset that oil life computer. I do that by pressing the gas pedal 3 times, which resets the oil life on the computer. In case you didn't catch that, stick the key in, turn it to the run position, and immediately press the gas pedal all the way down 3 times. From the research I've done, most vehicles should respond to this. This is how you reset the engine oil life according to the computer. All right, so let's start it up. Okay, I can see I do have adequate oil pressure. Well, that's the job. The oil has been changed. I've used a top of the line oil filter, a brand new oil drain plug, really good, fully synthetic oil, and of course, the secret, which is an oil filter magnet. I realize not everyone is going to agree. That's okay. That's why we're here and why we have comments below. So if you don't agree, please comment below. If you do agree, please comment below. And please keep it polite. Well, that'll do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. It really does help the video. Also, if you're watching this and you're not a subscriber to the channel, consider subscribing. And you can find more information down in the description box below, including links. So thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy with One Road, and I will see you in the next one.